What I want to do is show you a technique for drawing one of the primitives known as the Platonic solids, and they're also the Pythagorean solids. And we're going to do the cube, and we're going to do it in charcoal. First of all, what I have here is a drawing board and a white piece of paper, generic sketch paper, and then my charcoal paper that's been cut down to size. Now the reason why I'm showing you this is because it really helps with your drawing. Instead of having your what's going to be your finished piece directly touching the drawing board, I recommend having what's called a buffer. This paper here is the buffer. It kind of cushions the blow of the charcoal on here, and it gives you a smoother drawing experience. Also, you'll find that with a lot of surfaces you're going to have a little bit of texture. So what happens as you draw on here without this buffer paper, you might be picking up some of the texture here, which is called frottage. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The next thing is bordering this paper with some tape. And I've got two different kinds of tape. I have this white tape here, which is called artist tape. It's very good to use. It's kind of expensive, but the reason why we use it is because it's archival, meaning that there's no acid in this tape. And then there's the famous blue painter's masking tape for when you're painting houses. I'm going to use this one for this particular thing. It's a little crooked. If you are a stickler for perfection, you can easily pull this off like this. I do it at a diagonal, and be careful it doesn't become a pig's tail. Just kind of eyeball it. I recommend that you try to eyeball things. It teaches you how to get things straight. Now this charcoal paper is pretty basic. There's different brands, and this one you can see that in your syllabus. And there's two sides. There's like the smooth side and the textured sides. And so traditionally you're supposed to use the textured side. The textured side. Some artists like to use a smooth side. So I recommend you to try both sides. So this one here is just with the textured side. Okay, so first of all, before I get into this, a lot of times artists would just use like a pencil, and they would just draw this with a pencil. And what happens is you might be drawing your shape, and then you realize you have to move it over, and so you have to erase and push it to the left or to the right or whatever. So with this technique, you'll see how using a combination of materials that I'm going to actually show you, I'm going to walk you through it. You'll see how this is it's a better way to visualize ideas. And so these ideas could be used for numerous things, not just to create a finished drawing to sell per se, to frame and sell, but you could use these drawings for studies or references to do full-blown paintings, which is which has been the tradition. So I'm going to zoom in and we're going to get started. First we have what's called vine charcoal, and I'm going to apply this, and then I'll explain what I'm doing. Now what I am doing is I'm going to create a value or a tone. Well, actually a tone is the value of a color, so maybe that's not the right word. I'm just going to apply some value to this paper, and I'm going to give it a sort of background. We call this tinting the paper and toning the paper. So I did a vertical, now I'm going to do a horizontal application. You can use your other hand if you want. I'm going to try to do my left hand. Now when using this vine charcoal, try to find soft. So I'm hoping that as I go, I can describe what I am using. This is called charging up the paper, putting down a value. This is also considered a type of bedding. When you do watercolor, you sometimes put like water down, and that's called a bed. And then you tint that, let it dry, and then you can go back on top of that with something else. To do that, I usually use acrylic, and I create a bed and let that dry, and then I can go on top of that with pen and ink or something. But that's just me explaining how this terminology is universal for different art materials. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of cotton cloth from an old t-shirt, probably like 5 inches by 3 or 4 inches, or I recommend just 5 by 5 inch squares or something. And we also have something called a chamois. So you can get this at the art store. A little expensive, but they are different when you apply them on here in terms of the effects that you get. So this is cotton, this is chamois. Okay, so let's try with the cotton. Now when I do these demos, you'll even see the mistakes, because this is like the first time I've been filming myself, and I've been teaching for close to 20 years, and I just have students watch me when I do my demos, and I say I'll even show you the mistakes, tell you what not to do, and I think that's fine. I'm not even going to be interested in editing. Just want to get to the core of the issue. We're just drawing, and sometimes there'll be big gaps of silence. So you just watch the video, take notes. Now, if we're talking about a value scale, you have something that's called a value scale, and you have like a 0 and then 100%. So this is for what's going to be black, and this is going to be for what's going to be white. So I would say like right here is a 50%, and I think that's kind of like what you want to make this 50%. I even throw in a diagonal for good measures. Here is a soft hair, it's like a soft bristle house painting brush, and it's a 2-inch flat. This is pretty good for drawing. See what you can do with this paintbrush. I don't press too hard, and I have to confess I've had better, more even bedding than this, but we're gonna live with it. And I do recommend to go back and take away any excess. And so there it is. Now I don't know what this is. This goes to show you if you touch something with your fingers and you didn't wash your hands, maybe that's what that is. So that doesn't always happen, but let's not worry about that. So the first thing we're gonna do is use what's called vine charcoal. This is a soft stick of vine charcoal, and you'll see why we use this. So let's say I'm going to be drawing my cube, and I made a couple of mistakes. You see that? I didn't put it where I wanted, and what I want to do is I'm going to put it off to the side. But the problem is I cut it off here. This is called cropping, and I didn't want to do that. You see, now if I was using a regular graphite pencil, like an H pencil, I have to erase. And so with this, look what you can do. With the vine charcoal, this kind of goes away. Now, and I make kind of a big thing about these primitives, because as you're doing this, you're learning how to use the techniques that you can use for the whole class. Because you can do simple things like drawing a cube, to like say a very complicated drawing of your favorite, musical band. The sky is the limit with this material. So let's just get started. I'm not even thinking about perspective, really. I'm just going to make my cube. In a sense, this is a paraline drawing, meaning that these lines are parallel and these lines are parallel. So there's no perspective, there's no converging of lines. That's a whole other thing. Now another thing is, like with this assignment, you'll probably get some visual references, like a photograph of a cube. And I also recommend you getting real objects, getting a flashlight and holding the light to the object and seeing how light interacts with objects, because it's all about lighting. But there's another angle to this, and that's being able to draw this from the imagination. The theory is if you can draw the sphere, the cube, the cone, and the cylinder from the imagination, and then light it using your imagination to put the light against this from your imagination, and then be able to do it with ease. I think that this is a great foundation to have. So let's just get this going here. So I'm going to imagine the light is coming from over here. I can even draw a little indicator. I can even do this. With the vine charcoal I can go like this. Now I'm going to consider that the sun. So it's not going to be fanning out like that, like a spotlight. It's the sun. So these sun light rays, they're parallel. I mean, they're really not. There's like a minute angle, you know, because the sun is a point in the sky, but we're not going to strain for any gnats. So here you go like that. You see that? And it doesn't have to be parallel to this or that. It could be coming in like that, which is probably a better thing, but let's just stick with that. So now I also think that it's a little bit in front of the cube, not behind the cube. The sun is actually, that's not possible, is it? I think I messed up. Well, it could be. You know, the sun could be behind us, so that's okay, right? You could have the sun behind you and see the shadow in front of you, right? So, so the sun's kind of, you know, like behind our back. So the shadow could be like this. So never mind that, what I just did there. So the shadow is going to be like that. Now, check this out. I'm going to draw what's called the back side of the cube. And you can follow along here, and then right here is technically where the shadow would be. I don't know. So this might be too confusing, and so like I'm not going to edit this out. You know, you get to see me think this out loud. So the sun's like behind our backs, and it's throwing itself the light onto the cube. So now we would have to sort of figure out that the sun's on the left side of the paper, and it's just behind our heads, above our heads, behind us. And so here's a shadow like that. So the light is going to be hitting the top of it and the side of it. So we have to figure out that, is the light going to be hitting this more directly than this? If the light's going to be hitting this more directly than this, determined by the angle, it's kind of hard to do it, you know. You would say that this is going to be lighter than that. This is going to be darker. And so we're going to play around with the different shades or shading categories, 5 of them. And so they are going to be I'm going to call it light. Oh, can't see that. Let's just do it this way. Light, dark, core of shadow, reflected light, and then cast shadow, and then also highlight. Okay, so we have these different shading categories. So there's a couple of different ways you can go with this. I'm going to opt for this one. I'm going to get a straight edge, like this ruler here. And if you're a painter like me, you could use, you'll find that other kinds of straight edges work good. And we might even use this later. Maybe not for this demo, but for other things. We might need this. This is a support for your hand when you're drawing. You need to make a steady mark. And it's a Mahler stick from what I remember. Okay. So this is a way of doing it. We figured out that this is what we want. It's not really to the side like I was thinking, but it's okay. Maybe a little bit too low, but you know, we can live with it. So you might want to try cleaning it up. Now when I'm going to do this like this, and I'm doing this partly for demonstrating the perks of using this material. Notice how I'm eyeballing it, and I'm using an HB pencil. You could probably get away with a 2B. I'd recommend not using a 4B because you'll see why in a minute. So I got the outer shape first. This is the contour of the object. Now for the inner shape. I gotta figure out that's where I want to make my first line. The thing about charcoal is it's a little bit messy. Some of us don't like that, but I think that you'll learn to get over that. Okay, let's try this one. Now these are supposed to be paralines to make an isometric drawing of a cube. I think that somebody interested in architecture, they learn to sketch, and I think architects who also learn how to draw and sketch, they realize how important drawing the cube, the cone, the cylinder, and the sphere and that is. They realize that this is so important. And I was interested in architecture when I was in high school, and I took a college class in architecture. So I mean, that's probably why it's kind of showing in this demo. That sort of preference. I'm going to lightly sketch this and this. Now the reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to show you the following. Everything goes away. Everything goes away except for the charcoal pencil marks. This is very important. I understand that from what you're looking at, it's a little bit at an angle because of the amateur film job. I do apologize for that. But I think that you'll still get something out of this. Now, some artists recommend using the vine charcoal to fill out the values. Because the reason why is you can kind of figure out the values. So let's kind of figure that out. But I'm not going to do a completed drawing in vine charcoal. Just going to figure this out. It's like a map of the territory. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of hatch marks. Now remember, when I hit the brush, all this goes away. Okay. Now look at what I did here. I'm making a series of hatch marks, kind of like a wooden grain. And so this area here is darkest because I'm going to use that for the core of shadow. And I'll explain my philosophy later, but right now I'm just hitting this like this, and I'm going to play around with this. Here's a shadow, and I'm going the direction of the shape of the shadow. See that? I'm not all over the place, I'm going left and right, but at a diagonal. Also, remember, this is a demo, it's timed. I'm using a camera, and so sometimes I won't be able to make a polished drawing. I encourage that the student outstrip the teacher. I want you to make a better drawing than mine. That's the whole point, because this is your time, gang. This is your time to make some cool drawings. I've been doing art almost my whole life, and I've had some fun, so now I'm just giving back, just showing you how to do stuff. Okay, so now the trick is this, which is the background, this plane and that plane. I think that we should reinforce the top of the cube by doing what I am doing right now. Remember, I'm mapping the territory. Kind of figuring out. Now, enjoy how the cube is coming to form. It's popping off the page. So it's kind of like a sketch, a shaded sketch of your idea, of your vision. Now, if you want to draw the Taj Mahal, you would start out with basic shapes like this, and you would add the curves later. This kind of thing will help you with stuff like that. So now I think that I want this brighter than this. So this is what I can do. I'm going to come in like this. Now the question is, this is dark here, but is this going to be dark here? And the answer is not necessarily. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create the sense of depth by making this darker, but then it gets lighter here. Darker, and it gets lighter here. Now the light is coming from above, hitting downward, so that means that this should be lighter, but then also this is going to be lighter, because this is a plane and that's a plane and they're parallel. See that? So the theory is, this is at an angle, so it's going to get less light than this. But it's going to get more light than this, because this is facing away from the light source. So I think that this is going to be a little bit darker than this. And then this is going to be a little bit darker here, like that. But this is going to be lighter than this. So I kind of mapped out the territory. So like here, this is a transition. Dark, then light, and this is medium, MD, medium dark. And this is kind of like floats away into the distance. So here's the map. And you see, you don't even have to worry about these little things, little squigglies, you know, making a little kitty cat, so what? It's okay, have a little fun. Okay, so now we're going to get to business. Compressed charcoal, sharpened, 4B. You sharpen this with a utility knife. You can even sharpen it to a fine tip with this sandpaper pad. I'm going to go and draw. I'm going to shade the darkest things first. Literally. So I'm going to go with the background here. Now, don't be afraid to use your tools to the fullest extent of what they're made for. You can use the side of the charcoal, you can use the edge of the charcoal, and you can also use the tip. So these are 3 parts of the charcoal that you can use. Find out which part will help you for what particular thing you need to accomplish. See that? I'm thinking that, you see how you get this bumpy kind of effect? That's because of this. Even though I put this buffer here, you still get that. You can get some railroad board and tape it on here. I don't have one to show you, but if you go to an art store, or if you even go to, like, say, Michael's, you can say, I'm looking for some railroad board, and they'll show you this cheap white cardboard. That might work. So you experiment. If you have an old poster that's no good, you flip it face down on the board, and it's kind of a shiny, semi-gloss white. You can use that. There's ways of thinking out of the box for the artist, and that's what we all want to do. So this is like this, like this. It might look kind of neat with this, like a kind of a cloudy atmosphere. I don't know. Again, you would think that, yeah, I've done this many times, but you know, each time is a new experience, and so you know, you're going to see the pros and the cons, and if something doesn't look good, I'll just tell you that's not what we wanted. But let's just keep our fingers crossed and let's draw this cube. So we have something like that, and I'm not going to worry about blending right now. I'm just going to map out the territory. We'll talk about perfecting in a minute. One of the things you can do is take a piece of paper like this, and look at this. I'm going to hold this over here like this, and I'm going to take this cloth kind of like that. I'm not even using an eraser. It kind of looks a little bit sharper. And then conversely, I can do something like this. I can hold the same paper like this, and I can go like this. See that? It's a type of an old school form of masking. And you might even be able to do a better job than me, so you might want to give this a shot. Go like that, and go like this, go like this. Sometimes folding it doesn't work, so you get like a single strip of paper, then you hit it like this. Oh, sorry. If that happens, you might want to just move upward so you don't bring the paper tumbling down. There you go, like that. Now I'm using what's called a Kneaded Eraser, and this is the beauty about this. This is why I ask people to get this. So I'm going to come over here, come over here. Notice that the top of the cube is getting lighter. That's called subtraction. So that means I'm removing a value and bringing it back to to the white. A lot of this is supposed to be freehand, but you know, I recommend using straight edges if you can, you know, like this. So I'm working on the top part of this cube. You can reinforce the smoothness or cleanliness of the mark by going like this, using a, you know, this is where a cheap plastic ruler is the best. You just kind of go like this. See what I'm doing? I'm using my, I hope that my head's not in the way. Now I'm using a charcoal pencil. This is a hard pencil, HB. You can use a 2B for this. If you really want to get this like a Caravaggio black, use a 4B or a 6B. One of the things I'm going to try to caution you from is against is making these hard outlines. Avoid that, and because this is about tone, or shadow, shading, value, and not relying on lines. Like Michelangelo said that lines don't exist in nature. Pretty cool guy. Obviously, from his mind, he was always thinking about sculpting out of marble, so he was a sculptor more than a 2D artist. So it's already taking form. Some of us are persnickety, so you can come over here and get rid of that little problem right there. So that's what we have right so far. Let's try something with this other paintbrush. This is a flat, and I think it's a little bit more than a 1/2 inch. Now I'm not really worried about getting it to be a smooth background just yet. I might not even want to have that. So notice how I'm either going horizontal or vertical. So here we go, horizontal, like that. You don't want to necessarily depend on blending or smudging or smearing all the time. You'll have to charge up your area with more charcoal to get your desired value. I think this will turn out to be a really cool drawing of a cube. Might not be completely refined because I'm on the clock here with the camera. The longer the videos, the harder it takes to process the upload on YouTube. It is at an angle. I do apologize for that. As I continue this, I'm going to get better at this, and I'll even do a better cube demo. But this will suffice for our needs this semester. And if you really some of us want this black, you just get a darker piece of charcoal. Like I think I have somewhere, I have to find out where I have charcoal coming out of my ears. But I don't know where it's at. I have like a 5B charcoal. That would be really sweet for this. Really knock this further back. That looks pretty cool, right? It looks pretty good. Notice how I have some kind of a direction with my marks. I'm either going vertical or horizontal right now. Sometimes I go with diagonal. That goes a long way. Now we're talking about drawing this cube. We're not talking about drawing a portrait. So let's remember that. This thing might work for doing architectural forms. Up, down, left, right. More organic forms, you're going to probably be asked, I'm going to have you do what's called a cross contour drawing, where you go along the shape or of the form with these contour lines like that. So similar. Okay, so it looks pretty good. And then we can come over here and kind of make this. We don't want to go down in here. We don't want to go down in there. And so I'm trying to really get some kind of a rhyme or reason for the background right now. Now, one of the reasons why I'm into drawing with a board like this is this whole thing here is because you can do this. Watch this. See that? Don't be afraid. See that? Watch this. Now, as you see, the back of the cube is further back into space. It's almost like it's taking a dip into the darkness of that atmosphere. So now we got to figure out about this. You know, it's kind of chunky here. It's not the best. But you can almost paint your way out of this one. See that, like that. So what next? Well, let's try to work that out. Now, as you do these kinds of tasks, you learn how to do what's called a gradient from a dark plane surface to a light plane surface, and these are like skills that you should accomplish, you should achieve, whether you're doing representational art or abstract non-representational art. You need this kind of a skill set. I remember one time when I was tinkering with airbrush. I bought my airbrush, opened up the kit, and it had an instruction manual. And they asked me to use the airbrush and learn how to paint, guess what? A cube, a sphere, a cylinder, and I think they had the cone. So that's a good incentive. Like if you want to, if you want to learn to paint with acrylics, say, and you've never painted with acrylics, I recommend you learn how to do a gradient, and then paint a cube, paint a sphere. And that's going to be hard. You're going to have a hard time painting a sphere with acrylic paint. Think about that. Not easy to do. So because of that, you ought to do it. Let's see, let's go over here. Kind of making some striations. It's almost like the characteristic of the table or the ground that this is resting on. Might be interesting, I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to get it too dark here. I want to keep that free of that. It's too dark. I recommend that you step back like 5 feet. I call it the 5-foot rule. You step back 5 feet, look at your work, and you should be able to see the detail as well as the main shapes and forms and stuff. It works pretty much all the time. Try the chamois cloth. Oh, now we don't need the chamois cloth. Let's try the paintbrush. Kind of Bob Ross attack over here. I call it the Bob Ross attack. Get that like that. See that? It's pretty sharp. Maybe not sharp enough. In which case you can use a chamois cloth. Let's see what happens here. Oh yes, that's it. The chamois cloth will lift better than anything. And you're probably wondering, yeah, but you put charcoal there and now you're going to get rid of the charcoal. Well, remember the vine charcoal was there just for mapping out the idea. See, yeah, it's like, oh, you ruined it. Well, no, not necessarily. You'll see why. So we need not worry about that. And if you're really concerned about that, you just kind of go like this, the brush, kind of paint that like this. Like that. Sometimes it's hard to do the gradation the way I want it. But you know, there's ways of masking it. You know, we'll have fun with this. Well, you'll see in the end what we'll have. So now watch this. You know, I like it at this angle because I can go like this with my left hand now. You don't have to use your left hand if you don't want. If you're right-handed, you don't have to do this. I might do things that you might not want to do. It's okay. See the benefit? I don't know if my head's in the way. Yeah, there might be some problems with my demos, but you'll get it. You'll get what I'm trying to show you. The idea is that I'm trying to show you some techniques, and it might not be the state-of-the-art, you know, film experience for you to watch these videos, but you'll get what you need from this. I think that I should do this, like this. There we go. The main concentration is here. And I want to get a really dark appreciation going, like really want to use the darks. One of the things I had a problem was when I was younger is, and I could draw okay, but I had more experienced artists say, well, your value range is not as good as it could be. And I didn't know what that meant. What they meant by that is you have, like, in your drawing you have an area that's white and then you have another area that's black. And I would just have like this gray drawing with some highlights. And so the idea is that what you show is the only thing somebody's be able to, you know. You don't want to anticipate their imagination filling in all of the errors of your drawing. And whatever is there is all that they have to look at. So you have to, you know, push it over the edge. You have to make your point. And that's why right now I'm trying to do that with the values. Now there is a thing where you have to do what's called a low-key drawing. And a low-key is a drawing that has a value scale like, say, 0%, which is white, to, like, say, 40%. So it's kind of like a light drawing, vignetted on the sides, you know. And these are just different animals. But right now we're doing what's called a full value range drawing of a cube. Oh, if you film yourself, make sure you plug your camera to an outlet. Oh wait, let's use the chamois cloth. See that? I use techniques I learned when I was in grad school because I was really representational. I was doing these fantasy drawings, and then I would make them into these big paintings. And so I came across all these techniques. So I would do these full value drawings, and then I would take that and blow them up on a canvas. Notice how I'm not using my finger to blend. I mean, if you're going to do that, that's your business. But as an instructor, I'm trying to show you a more healthier way. So I recommend using what's called a blender. They come in different sizes. So this is a blender. Now as I use the blender, notice how I'm going along the diagonal of the shape. So I'm not just going all over the place. So let's say your hand's kind of shaky. So watch this. I get this support stick, and I'm going to go like this. Mauling stick. Some kind of a stick. Alright, there we go. See that? Yeah, nice, yeah, you know. And we could take that over here, take this business over here and do that. See that? I'm sorry if that was in your way. See how this works. I might go a little faster. So now you're seeing where we're going with this. You see the idea, you see the philosophy. So now I'm going to try to knock this out of the park. Let's get this demo done. Now the reflected light should not be as light as the parts that are getting hit by direct light. So we gotta compensate that. So look what we do. Now don't worry that it gets kind of cloudy, you know, like right here. Some things kind of come out of the darkness. Ever see a great masterful painting? Like a painting by Rembrandt? He has that happening all the time. Forms coming out of the shadow, you know, and stuff like that. That's what you want. I highly recommend all you art students look at what's called Baroque art. Baroque art. And you'll learn about what's called chiaroscuro, and that's chiaro means light, and then in Italian, and scuro is something to do with dark. So chiaroscuro, light, dark. And I should know because I'm an Italian man. Let's see, let's get this like this. Well, we're getting this home. We're taking it home. Let's try some charcoal up against here. I'm using a HB, which I don't know if that's going to work. Let's see. Yeah, it kind of works. Now the thing is, it's not going to be as dark as we want it, but here's a rule of thumb: is when trying to draw and it's not dark, don't press harder because you're fighting with the material. Just get a pencil that's darker. And have your stuff ready. I have a whole bag of charcoal pencils, pre-sharpened. See that? That kind of works. I guarantee you, some of you are going to really knock this out of the ballpark. You'll make a better drawing than the instructor. And that's, you know, hey man, that's cool. There's always a bigger fish. I just don't want to be eaten by the bigger fish. So you can see how that's working, right? We'll flip it right back to the right, flip it back in a minute, because it's still on its side. But you can see why it's easier to draw. You see that I'm able to rotate. That's why, like, I don't like doing huge drawings or paintings, because when I can't rotate the support. By the way, this is called a support. when I can't rotate my support, I can't get in there. But like, so the thing is, like when you're inventing or creating, maybe you're supposed to do a small scale drawing, but if you do like a giant mural, then you now have to transfer it, and then you're forced to work with the confines of that animal. So, but when you're creating, it's fun to be able to rotate. So you see how I got that? It looks kind of cool. And you know, I'm not too satisfied with something right here. I kind of want to show a little sliver of light. Remember how we figured out that the back of the cube is somewhere right here, right there. You see it lines up like this, comes in like that, comes in like that. So like right here could be a sliver of light for the back. I think it's kind of neat to flirt with that. I don't know how far away I can, how I can get away with that, but we're the artists, we're the dream makers, right? You're the one writing the script for this story. You're the one who can do whatever you want to do with this, and somehow the trick is to make it work. Even if you defy physics, I'm always into that. Even though I'm trying to obey physics of light and all that, you can still defy. It just has to look good, It has to look right to the viewer. And one of the things about when you're making drawings or paintings, and when you're looking at your composition, and your eye is drawn to an area that's not your focal point. Your focal point is where you want the viewer to go. Your eye is going, like, say, somewhere over here, or somewhere over here, and that's not the focal point. Chances are it's because there's a problem area that you have to fix. You have to tone it down. You have to erase something or redo it. You don't want the eye to be like, for instance, looking at this drawing. Let's say it's done. Your eyes are going to go here to that mark. That mark's not supposed to be there. You see how it's so much better? So I'm almost done with this cube. I like to make it perfect. And so what I'm going to do is pretty much end it. And then I'll probably add more details, and I'll show you the finished version somewhere in here. Let's see. We're almost done with this. I might even give you a little bit more. It's not completely done. Let's give you a little bit more to chew on. It's not completely done. Like, watch this. I'm gonna come over here. I might even put some texture on this cube. Now the cool thing about texture is it tells the story. Like if you have wood grain, it tells you the story of the wood, because you know how wood grows. And you get like the rings. Each ring represents like a year for the tree. I mean, all these things are like a legacy of life, So texture is cool. Get some texture in there. So I'm kind of like creating some texture right now, like a crack in the cube. See that? And kind of know that, okay, this is wood. So it's like, it's a wooden cube. I just had some fun with it. Kind of have an idea about what you're making. I never do enough about texture in my classes. I have to really remedy that. Like, I'll do a whole semester of drawing with a class, and I'll think of all the stuff we didn't talk about. A little bit of a problem at this end here. I don't know what happened. It kind of, in like my art, there's always an imperfection, and like this is my imperfection for this cube. But what's kind of cool about it is it kind of adds that human element. Like maybe it was dropped, It's kind of cool. And then like I can even show like a little piece missing here, kind of a chip. See that? And then I can add some detail here with the HB pencil. You can do that. So I'm adding some texture to the cube now. And I really think that's a good thing to play with. I think you have a good time with that. Here's the wood grain. I guess they're the rings. See that? Now the thing is, you have to continue with this whole idea onto the top of the cube. Otherwise, it's inconsistent. I think that would be right. I sometimes am incorrect about the science. Like we're talking about botany or biology. I might have that wrong. So how do I fix that? Get a piece of wood and look at it. Get a piece of wood that's similar to this and just analyze it. That's called reference. Like take a look at this piece of wood right here. You see the wood grain? See that? So it's similar. And I don't know how it'd be here. It looks unnatural, you know, but it's alright. Kind of tinker with it. Kind of get into this kind of thing here. I'm going to play with this. And now I don't know what this is. Like, what's that? But it looks kind of cool, doesn't it? And it's just a cube. Sometimes you can't see, you know, what's going on there because it's hidden and dark. Some of us are afraid of doing that, and I think you shouldn't be. And then, like, I'm going to be challenging here. I'm going to say, look, I want this to be dark. And, I should probably use a darker pencil. This is a HB. I'm going to use a 4B. Here is a smaller blending tool. This is called a tortillon. So I can come in here like this and kind of, you know, get it to do what I want it to do. And I like this kind of mysterious kind of a white or this light area here. I think that I have to play with it. Here's just a little trick I'm going to show you with a white piece of charcoal. This is, I'm sorry, it's a white charcoal pencil called a General's brand charcoal pencil. I usually wait for when I'm really done, but we're close to done, so I'm going to come in here and watch what I can do with this white piece of charcoal, this white charcoal pencil. I do have a white piece of charcoal here. I keep saying white piece of charcoal. You can come over here with this like this. See that? We're gonna do that. See that? How that really kind of neat, huh? So we'll get into that and then wrap up this demo. Let's see. Get this top over here. Notice how I don't make an outline. I don't want the outline per se. And also, I recommend don't have it completely at a 90-degree angle contacting the support. Come at an angle like this and kind of skate on the surface like that. I hope this demo helps. I know that the camera angle's a little bit off, but there we go. I know you're gonna make a better drawing than this, and that's what's cool. You'll have more time, and I think that since this is a skill-based experience, you'll have to do it more than once. You don't just draw one cube and it looks kind of iffy and say, well, I did my cube. Well, guess what? You can do a better one, so do it again. Draw another cube. You don't have to do this 4 times. And then what you're going to do is you're going to give me the best one of the 4, and then I can, you know, I have to, you know, grade it. One of the things that we have to do in a class is we have to grade the drawings, darn it. And I'm more into shop talk. I'm not really into grading. But that's what we do. And so look at the charcoal. Look how the charcoal is really just zinging this along here. It's just really cool. Kind of go on top of here like this. You know, like that. I like how it kind of slips into the darkness there. So we're almost done with this puppy. And now I'm going to even emphasize this. I'm going to come over here. And I know that, you know, I could do better. I've done better stuff than this, but I'm happy with what we have. looking back here, you can do some blending here. See that with the blender? Now, you see how I did this, right? Now, watch this. This is what's so cool about this whole technique. Take this brush. Look what I'm going to do. Oh no, what are you doing? See? Now I'm going to go like that. If you want, you can sign it. I'm going to put like a SL and then 20. And we can call it done. I understand that the bottom of this was cropped off like that. I'm not going to redo the video. I think that you got it for this semester. And if you want to see a better demo, take my class again next semester. And you'll even get a better filmed rendition of this particular project. So we're going to do I have a sphere already online. Now the cube, and then the cylinder and the cone.